you.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians, and welcome to the Rotary Club of Gainesville meeting at the Cade Museum. Please remember to silence your cell phone, and if you're watching on YouTube, please register your participation by sending an email to info@rotarygainesville.org. And now for our song and pledge, please welcome Jeff Sims to the podium.
Yeah. Huh.
Good afternoon. Gordon, thank you. We're going to sing America, otherwise known as My Country 'Tis of Thee. Gordon. My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. Join me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jeff. And up next is Lori Vidal with our invocation.
Where's David? David, you missed your cue on that. All right, let's pray together. The wise voices from wisdom literature from the past encourage us with words of challenge and encouragement. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. And these words, let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds. Let us encourage one another. We are so thankful as we gather together for the opportunity to live out these words today. We bring us with so many thoughts and commitments racing through our minds, and we now are here to take a break, to just be together. Help us to live out these moments before us, sharpening one another, encourage one another towards love and good deeds. This is the place. This is the time to encourage and be sharpened. I pray in the name of the great encourager. Amen.
Thank you, Lori. You may be seated, but if you're a guest or visiting Rotarian, please remain standing to be introduced. Tom will bring the microphone around.
Well, hello, fellow Rotarians. I wanted to introduce my guests today. I have Denise Kenda. She is the AVP of Community Engagement for HCA in Tallahassee, and she's with me today to give a $60,000 grant to our local education foundation this evening as a part of a $1 million grant from HCA to the Education Consortium for the state. So we're excited.
Very good. Welcome, Denise. And now for our first announcement, Jeff Montgomery.
Thank you, Rotarians. Next week, I'm going to be bringing a guest with Alachua Habitat for Humanity. I want you all to be thinking about there is a way, and I've done it 3 times, to sponsor a habitat house without costing you any money. How do you do that? If you collect sales tax in the state of Florida, one, or you pay corporate income tax in the state of Florida, you can get reimbursed for a sponsorship in Habitat for Humanity. So if you fall into that, collecting sales tax or paying corporate income tax, and you're interested in Alachua Habitat, they need a sponsor by June 25th. So come see me, and I'll tell you more about it. And then we'll also have a presentation for about 5 minutes next week. Okay?
Hey, real quick. Hold on just a second. I just wanted to make sure everybody saw the article about Jeff Montgomery, our famous guy in the Gainesville Sun. So if you missed it, look it up. It's a
Very good.
Really
Thank
good
you.
article.
Next up with an announcement, Brendan Shortley.
Thank you. You'll get wine for that applause, hopefully. We forgot to, or we didn't want to draw for the winner of those who have donated to Helping Hands. By the way, thank you. It was extremely successful. We raised a lot of money, and we also mostly raised a lot of donations. So thank you for putting them in my truck every week for a month. But we promised before we started that we would take your name every time somebody donated something and put it in this container and give out a prize. So we have a prize here, some beer and wine for you. And if you didn't think you made one of these slips, we made one for you. So believe it or not, you're in here. Okay, so it's all fair. And I didn't draw this because it's amazing when you see the name, you'll think that I drew it. But Karen drew it, and the winner is Randy Caden.
Thank you, Brendan. Congratulations, Randy. Next up on the agenda, a poem from John Gregory.
You all know that Father's Day is this coming Sunday. Is that right? Okay, just thought I'd ask. Now, Jason is big, especially tall ways. His wife gets out and visits him always. Shank married Miss Wright. Not wanting to fight, he just didn't know her first name was Always. With his new pacemaker, Brady's dad did shine. It made Dad's life easier, a really good sign. He now had a grip. His life had some zip. And besides, it's guaranteed for one full lifetime. When in high school, my dad just came and asked me, how come you have so many F's and D's? I knew he'd create a tremendous mess, so with that, I just had to confess. It might have something to do with getting too many Z's. Dad's answer for Mom's greatest hit. Which flower is Mom's most favorite? Dad thought long and hard, then asked his pard. It's Pillsbury, isn't it? Happy Father's Day.
Thank you, John. You never disappoint. And now for a craft talk to be introduced by our president, Linda Reinhardt.
Okay, it gives me a great pleasure to introduce one of our new members, Trevor Wise, who will be giving his craft talk today. Trevor is the managing director of the Hippodrome. He holds an undergraduate degree in theater from University of Missouri-Columbia and a Master of Fine Arts and Arts Administration from Texas Tech University. He comes to our community with a wealth of experience in the performing arts, and we are very fortunate that he has found his way to our club. So Trevor, come on up. Got your 3 minutes, starting now.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. Thank you so much. I can't tell you what an honor it is to be able to stand up here and give you a little bit of information about who I am and how I became a Rotarian. So I apologize if you've heard this story before, but it's one of my favorites to talk about. Imagine me sitting in sixth period honors chemistry class when all of a sudden, within the first 5 minutes, an announcement came over the loudspeaker saying, Trevor Wise, please report to the Dr. Nolke's office immediately following sixth period. Dr. Nolke was our head principal of the high school at the time, and I'm usually a pretty good student and decided that I was a little bit worried because I was being called to the principal's office, and I have to tell you that was the longest walk of shame that I had to do going through the high school. But whenever I got to Dr. Nolke's office, he was very generous in letting me know that I was had been selected as one of 4 people from the city of Columbia to be a Rotary International Youth Exchange student. Yes. And surprisingly enough, I actually asked my parents to do it for 3 years in a row before they finally relented to let me go to become an exchange student. So, can we pull up the... I just have a little thing to show you guys where I was from and whatnot, or where I was living. I was in Germany. I was in the very northern part in a little town called Bad Oldesloe, and then also an even smaller town called Homfelde and Trittau. Trittau is where I went to school. Homfelde was a little dwarf where I lived, but where that little green arrow is about where the city was that I was actually in. It was an absolutely wonderful experience and something that I actually encourage everyone to do every single day. So anytime I hear someone with a child in high school and they're trying to decide what they want to do, I say Rotary International Youth Exchange, because it is the best program I think ever. I'm originally from Harris, Missouri. I do say Missouri because I am a farm boy, and I come from a cattle production farm. This is one of our bulls, actually, that we use for beef cattle production. But we've got a very, very lovely area up there. We're about 20 minutes south of the Iowa border. And if anybody is happening to go through this area, I encourage you to stop by. Our town is all of 45 people, and we are not counted in those 45 people because we sit outside of the city limits. And then, of course, as you heard, I did attend the University of Missouri in Columbia as my undergraduate degree in writing for performance. Unfortunately, I am a Tigers fan. If that means anything to you all, I will chomp for the Gators as long as they're not playing the Tigers. And then, of course, I went to Texas Tech University to get my Master's of Fine Arts in Arts Administration. I'd been working in the professional theater for about 8 years, and a friend of mine encouraged me to come and get my master's degree. So I went to Lubbock, Texas, completely sight unseen, which in hindsight is kind of an interesting situation, because if you're not involved with cotton or churches, there's not a lot to do in Lubbock, Texas. I am also the proud dog father to a girl named Stella. This is her. She's a lovely brindle. I call her a pitapotamus, and any sort of mud puddle that she can find, she likes to choose it to be her swimming hole, whether it be deep enough to swim in or not. And then, of course, I am a performer by nature. So this picture here on the left is whenever I first learned how to sword fight in my production of Twelfth Night by Shakespeare. And then over here is a production from Tennessee Williams. And I do not actually get on stage very much anymore as an administrator, but I still do like to perform. So if you guys are ever interested, let me know. And then, of course, one of my greatest claims to fame is in 2010, whenever I was working with the Eugene O'Neill Theater Center, we were named recipients of the Regional Theater Tony Award. So the very first and only time that I've been to Radio City Music Hall, I went for the Tony Awards. So that is actually me in the picture on the right. I do clean up so I don't look like Grizzly Adams all the time, I swear. And then the other picture is there as me actually holding the Tony Award that we were given. So anyway, I thank you guys so much for allowing me to be a part of this wonderful club. I am so grateful to be a Rotarian, and I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you so much more. Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. If you haven't had a chance, please do try to get to know Trevor. And now, Ryan Thompson.
Good afternoon. As you walked in this morning, we grabbed you and handed you a piece of paper. So that is the status of your contributions to the Rotary Foundation. Last week, Jay was up here, and I really feel like I'm stealing his thunder. He's out of town. But nonetheless, so if for those on Zoom and those that weren't here today, we'll mail out their notices. The contributions that we make to the Rotary Foundation are transformed into grants that fund local and global humanitarian projects, scholarships, vocational training, as well as global projects like End Polio Now. As Rotarians, we're proud of the good work that our organization does throughout the world, and that's only possible through our contributions to the Rotary Foundation. That's why we ask each member to contribute something, even if it's not a large amount. So please view this letter as an invitation to learn more about the foundation and its impact on around the world, learn how the contributions and recognitions work, and then also learn how you can make contributions and recognitions. Our goal is to make sure that you're aware of the foundation where you stand with your points and help you facilitate whether you want to contribute or recognize somebody else. So thank you. And President Linda really wanted to get this rolled out during her year because she's passionate about the foundation and knows what impact it has in our communities. Linda, do you mind joining me up here for a moment? So Linda, as she's done all year, continues to lead by example. Linda did what we would love all of our members to consider, and that's submitting a donation to the foundation. Linda has done that, and I would like to present you your Paul Harris Fellow +1. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan, and congratulations, Linda. Don't get too comfortable over there because we're going to welcome you back to the podium.
Thank you all very much. First of all, Trevor, thank you for doing your craft talk. I will bring this to you. I have the 4-way plaque for you in recognition of you completing that step of your membership journey. I want to give you guys a quick recap. We had our board meeting last night, my last board meeting as president. Yes, it was wonderful. We're closing out the year. We also welcomed in the incoming board members who will be inducting into the board at our last meeting on June 25th. So I hope that you guys will all join us on that. We did approve 2 fund requests to close out our year. The first fund request that we approved was $500 to Community Hospice to provide flags and memorabilia to honor military patients at their end of life. So we're looking forward to sponsoring that program for Community Hospice. We also awarded $1,500 to the Education Foundation to renew our sponsorship of the Alachua County Science Fair. For those of you that have been around for a while, this was a program that we sponsored for many, many years, and that sponsorship dropped off in about 2021. So they approached us and asked if we would like to renew that, and we wholeheartedly agreed. So we're looking forward to that as well. The last 2 pieces of business, again, reminder, it's broken record, and Ryan will get to pick it up when he gets up here. RLI, August 10th, it is in Gainesville. We're hoping to have a great showing so that they will continue to bring that leadership training back to Gainesville. I hope you're able to attend that. It's at Santa Fe. It's a great opportunity to learn more about Rotary and to meet fellow Rotarians in the area and grow your network. And then the other one is is the international conference that is going to be in Calgary next June. Again, registration has opened, as some of us have registered. I found myself on the waiting list for a hotel, so it is already filling up very quickly. So just wanted to let you know. I hope you're able to consider attending that as well. With that, I'm going to invite Lisa up to introduce our program speaker for today.
Afternoon, everyone. I have the pleasure today of introducing Sarah Livingstone. Sarah is our speaker and also the CEO of Are You Motivated, and very passionate about mental health. She has a master's from Rutgers University with a concentration in management and leadership, and a bachelor's from the University of Florida in family, youth, and community services. So, without taking any more of Sarah's time, please welcome the speaker today, Ms. Sarah Livingstone. Yay!
Good afternoon. It is a pleasure to be here today amongst the Rotary Club. You guys are people of action. Use your resources to serve the community and worldwide. I really appreciate what you do, and I'm glad to be here. Again, my name is Sarah Livingstone, and I value mental health education. It's a passion of mine. Mental health education from the perspective of a social worker. My education, as she said, is in social work with the concentration in management and leadership. Now that's important because the social work perspective is one of communication, collaboration, and finding practical ways to move forward. So today what I'd like to do is to talk with you about mental health in the workplace and to see how you can use your influence to prioritize it in the workplace. Wearing a button-down shirt in a t-shirt culture. Did that excite you when you saw the title? What is she going to talk about? Okay, how to communicate what you require while showing that you care. We'll get into button-down and t-shirt in a second. Here's the outline of what I'm going to go over today. The cultural shift to mental health prioritization, defining mental health and mental health needs, mental health and mental illness, mental wellness and the work environment, and stating the requirement, showing that you care. Then I'll open it for questions and have a note about partnership. The cultural shift to mental health prioritization. Now this I found pretty awesome. The 2019 annual meeting for the World Economic Forum, there was a note about mental health. At the highest levels of government, private sector, and civil society, leaders are stepping up to commit to promoting positive dialogues around mental health. This means culture shifts in our shared spaces, in the workplaces, in schools, and in communities. Now, what I found great about this is the highest levels of leadership. They are stepping up to commit to promoting dialogue about mental health. And the cultural shift to needing it in our workplaces. Button down and t-shirt. You ready for me? All right. Okay, so we're looking at year 2019. Okay, this is where I see the divide of button down and t-shirt. We're not talking about generation, we're not talking about age, we're not talking about level of accomplishment. It is prior to 2019 and post-2019. Now let me start back in 1986. In 1986, the OSHA Act, they encouraged employers to focus in on relieving stress for employees. So it's not that mental health is a new thing, you know, in the workplace. There have been resources. However, now we're kind of pulling up the sleeves a bit. And people are being vulnerable. They're telling you what they need, as opposed to needing to find it themselves and keeping it low. They're speaking out to their leaders and saying, hey, we need some help. So this is not just employees, these are your managers as well, and you. And actually, this year, the Harvard Business Review said that in 2019, employers began noticing the prevalence of mental health challenges in the workforce and realized it's not just a nice thing to do or a good thing to do, it's imperative to answer the call. 2019 and forward. Okay, let's look at a statistic from 2023, the Work in America survey. This is by the the American Psychological Association. Okay, so this is the 2023 Work in America survey by the American Psychological Association. It said 92% of workers said it's either somewhat or very important for an organization to value their emotional and psychological well-being. 92% of workers. Somewhat or very important to value their emotional and psychological well-being. This is rolling up the sleeves. We need this. I'm going to let you know how to use your influence to be impactful in this area. Defining mental health and mental health needs. So if we're going to talk about mental health, let's define it. So mental health is our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. So basically how we feel, we think, how we interact with others in our environment, and it impacts how we relate to others, how we deal with conflict and stress, how we make our choices. There are signs and symptoms of mental health challenges. I'm going to read these to you. There are quite a few, and this is not an exhaustive list, although it looks like it. Loneliness, fear, worry, sadness, feelings of guilt, sex drive changes, isolation, unexplained and explained pain and aches, problem sleeping, excessive anger, suicidal thoughts, chronic absences from work. I want to ask you, I meant to say I'm going to ask for participation. Are there any other signs and symptoms you can think of? For example, when somebody is experiencing an emotional health challenge. A lot of crying. This is true. Yeah. Deep sadness, a lot of crying. Anything else? Yes. Withdrawing from usual activities. That's a great one. Thank you. And that's, let's see, this went away. Give me 1 second. There it is. Okay. But yes, that definitely happens when we're struggling actually with any of these, emotional, psychological, or social. Thank you for participating. I'll ask again. Okay, let's see. Okay, what are our mental health needs? So we saw the signs and symptoms. What are some of our needs? I wrote a few. Validation. We have the need for validation, especially when we're feeling lonely or we're feeling misunderstood, and it's starting to impact our mental health. When we are feeling sadness, when we're feeling anxiety. The need for responsibility. You know, you can be going through something, but you don't want to be seen as broken. Sometimes you want to be trusted still. So we have that need. The need for relatable people. The need for relatable people. We are more alike than we are different. I actually want to see what you think. Is there another mental health need that you or anyone you know has ever had? Another mental health need that could help to repair either an emotional, psychological, or social well-being impact? The need to be accepted. Yeah, the need to be accepted. Mental health and mental illness. Okay, so this is really great. Okay, so mental health and mental illness. I think what's so interesting, but actually kind of sad, is that when we think of therapy, we think, oh, that's for the mentally ill. That's not for me. You know, not everyone, but a lot of times we can think that. You know, that's for the mentally ill. But what's so interesting about this is we're more alike than we are different, and this matters because your impact matters. If you understand all of this, now you have reason for action. Mental illness, it's when the signs and symptoms, like the ones that we just talked about, are ongoing, inhibiting our ability to function. Now, not all the time, but this is what it can do. This is what mental illness can do. It affects our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. Our mental health. It distorts how we connect with others. Mental illness can distort how you connect with your environment, your coworkers, your managers, your subordinates. Influenced by biological, psychological, and social factors. Now, we've heard about the biological impact, possibly the psychological, but the social. I mean, an example are officers, the things they see, now having PTSD. They might not have had a genetic predisposition for that, but it's just very interesting. And once again, we're more alike than we are different. And I'm going to tell you some stats. Okay, mental illnesses are among the most common health conditions in the United States. Mental illnesses. You know, what's interesting is we recently had a situation with a pro golfer that took his life last month. And it was a shock to the world, but you know, mental illness is real. Simone Biles, she pulled out of the Tokyo Championship to really attend to her mental health. And the reason why I say these examples is because they look like they have it all. They look like they're on top of the world. They are high performers. You are high performers. You can have your suit, you can have your makeup on and be suffering inside. And so can your employees and your managers. We've got to grasp this. More than 1 in 5 US adults in the United States have mental illness. More than 1 in 5. I mean, imagine your company. How many people are in your company? 1 in 5 could have mental illness. This is important. About 1 in 25 US adults suffer from serious mental illness. Now we're talking about bipolar, borderline, different serious mental illnesses. Once again, think about your company. 1 in 12 US adults have a diagnosable substance use disorder. And this is the Center for Disease Control. These stats are as recent as this year. Mental wellness. How does it impact the work environment? How does the work environment impact mental wellness, whether it be mental illness or not? Many of us, if not all of us, have experienced a mental health challenge at one point in our lives. Some of the culprits of work-related stress. Now, the thing about this is, a lot of this can't be changed. Deadlines happen. They need to happen to get things done, right? Interpersonal relationships, there's always going to be that struggle, right? No matter what setting you're in. Interpersonal relationships are difficult. Staff management, dealing with issues and problems that arise. Now, some others are job insecurity, role conflict, role ambiguity. These are things that, even if we can't change them, we have to acknowledge that they have an impact. And so that's what I'm wanting you to do, is to use your influence to make a difference in this area, because the impact is there even if we don't want it to be. So according to the ADAA, which is the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, these are some of the things that workplace stress impacts: performance, productivity, engagement, relationships with our coworkers, with our superiors, with our subordinates, quality of work. The UC Berkeley Executive Education, their program noted this as recent as this year. Poor mental health stops employees from reaching their full potential. And it can make them, hold 1 second, guys. Lost my spot, sorry. and forces them to take more sick days, stunting productivity. Now, this is kind of crazy. Poor mental health stops them from reaching their full potential. It forces them to say, take sick days. It might force you to take one too. Maybe it has. Depressed employees miss approximately 31 days of work per year. Now, that's a lot bigger than it might even sound. That's 248 working hours lost per depressed employee per year. Remember, we said more than 1 in 5 have mental illness. The signs and symptoms is prevalent. We have to do something. You have influence. You're already doing such great things. Like I said before, in the community and the world at large. Looking into the Rotary Club, I mean, there's a great ability there to make a difference in this. So how can you make a difference? Keep saying, use your influence. How are you going to use your influence? How can you make a difference? Here's some practicals, because remember, so social work, our perspective is communication, collaboration, and practical ways of moving forward. Some ideas are the front and the back end. How can we communicate value in the front and the back end? A lot of times it might be thought that, or just you can feel the burden of, now do you need to move a couch into your office? Is that what we're asking? Is that what everyone's asking? Kind of seems like it sometimes. You need to fix it. That's what it can sound like. But maybe not. Maybe it's some simple things you can do. Informing managers of resources, reminding them where the resources are. HR, do they have those resources readily available? And we're talking outside of the EAP program. Are the resources readily available? Have HR collaborate with an impartial party, a resource provider. Signature update. Now this, I mean, you can do quickly. Signature update. So your email signature. Underneath your name, you can place a resource. You can place the Alachua County Crisis Center. Reach out to the Alachua County Crisis Center should you be in crisis. Here's the number. 988 Suicide Prevention Hotline. Here's the number. This can be done tonight. You can change your signature and just put that in there. That is, you're already saying what you require in your email, in your correspondence, and now you're showing that you care. My screen went blank. Workplace signage. Okay, so this could happen too. You could have placards, little signs around the workplace that have mental health facts, but also have numbers. So if somebody were to look at the mental health facts, they also know that they can find the number there too. These are simple changes that can be made. Well, I say simple, the signature's simple. The other, about the placards, and like some of it will take some extra work, but you guys are so capable. I mean, you have teams that can help implement this as well. And celebrating victories, that's huge. Celebrating victories. Not just victories of task completion, because at the end of the day, you need to get your job done. So I'm, not saying, oh, great job for getting your job done. You're supposed to get your job done, but what if you were able to balance it with wellness? That's a great job. That should be said. And when we're in this t-shirt culture and people are starting to talk about wellness, mental health wellness, can you create a process in which people are able to say, hey, listen, I got this job done and I was also able to attend my daughter's game. They won. And all you have to say is good job. Some of it's an easy fix, but you have the influence and you're able to do it. I wanted to say to enhance what you're already doing, because some of you guys just enhance what you're already doing. Okay, you might already be answering this call, so enhance it. Look into this. Look into this more. Consider what you've heard today. What more can you do? But those who haven't, create. It's time. Four-way test. Four-way test. Yes. Okay. So I thought you'd appreciate this. Okay. Is it true? Okay. So yes, now I can see this way. Okay. Is it true that there is an imperative mental health response necessary when addressing mental health? That there's an imperative response when addressing mental health. Is it true? Raise your hand. Is it fair to all concerned? Is addressing mental health, using your influence, is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? I believe it'll build goodwill. Do you? What about the friendship aspect? You have friendships here, you have relationships. You can, iron sharpens iron. You have that ability. But the thing is, when you do this within the workplace, you create opportunity for people to have good friendships as well. And is it beneficial to all concerned? Raise your hand if you think this is beneficial to all concerned. Yes! Okay, great. I'm so glad. It was great to be here. Well, I guess I'm still here, so it's not that it was. It's great to be here, and I am open for questions. Yes. Oh, yay. Thank you.
Okay, ladies first. So you mentioned the importance of training, and I was wondering, is your organization available for doing training on site at workplaces? Okay.
Yes, and I was going to mention that after, because I didn't want to take away from the content there. I was going to mention it after questions, but thank you for asking. I'll mention it now. Yes, so are you motivated? It's mental health education for employees and management. And so I wanted to make sure that I did separate the two, though, because I want you to hear the message. But then, yes, we are here to provide the education.
Okay. We are all here familiar with the Gainesville Opportunity Center, who we sponsored 2 years ago with the Wild Game Feast, which is a place for people with mental issues to have a kind of a day club. And so there's some stability there for people, and they help them get work and stuff like that. What is preventing the other forms of stability? Well, there's homelessness out there. It's hard to feel secure when you are using an umbrella as your roof. Things like that. And there's a lot of different things like that that can be dealt with, and I was just wondering if that is touched upon.
Well, yeah, that's, thank you for saying that. It's difficult if you don't have the resources to meet the need. That's the scarcity impact, or the scarcity effect, when your need is greater than your ability to, the resources you have to meet the need. And so that would be an example there. You know, you're trying to maintain your health, but you just don't even have a roof over your head. Is that what you're saying, sir? Situations like that? Yeah, so one thing we do is we provide practical ways for moving forward. So that is what my company will bring us, the social work perspective. And that is about resources also. So it's the mental health care and the resources, because those are so important. We need practical ways instead of just being told to feel better. Anything else? Anyone else?
Can faith be an important component in good mental health?
Yes, it really can. The thing is, what we got to be careful of is that we don't say to people that you need to just trust God. And I said just. It's okay to say that, but if it's only do that, then you're prohibiting people from getting the resources that God might be providing. If that makes sense. You're welcome.
Hey, it's been a while since I raised my hand. Thanks for your talk. So question is, some companies and corporations have wellness programs currently that are more physically based. What's the tie-in between the physical wellness and mental wellness?
Wait, before you give the microphone back, can you maybe say that a different way?
Yeah, there is a connection in the literature of people, if they're physically active, and it starts to build up certain hormone levels that can help with mental health and wellness. And so tying those two together, I'm thinking, is that something companies are looking at, having a physical-based wellness program in conjunction with adding in the mental health component?
Well, I think that's a great idea. I think a lot of companies are trying to incorporate like yoga. I've seen that, different ways of having activities with the company members, but then just also encouraging exercising to release those endorphins. There is a huge push to, I don't know so much from companies outside of those suggestions, but physical activity is big. That's huge. I know to get energy out myself, when I'm feeling anxious, I go and work out. I found it's the only thing that really gets it out. And I think with that, what's powerful is when we tell other people what we do that helps or that works for us. And so I don't know if I'm answering your question. Did I answer your question? But yeah, you're right. The physical activities really do help the mental health, if that's what you were asking. Sorry if I went around that. But yeah, it definitely does help. If you're sedentary, it's not helpful. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your talk.
Yeah.
I know that we've seen a lot of the stigma go away from where it used to be. I know when I started in the workplace, this wouldn't even be brought up at all.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a positive change, which I think is great. And this is more of a comment, but I think also, especially post-pandemic, people are more concerned about quality of life and not just comp. So are you finding this is also a great play for employers to retain talent? Because I would think, with especially the younger workforce, that has become a priority.
Oh yeah, definitely. It is a priority, in retaining talent. Oh yeah, there's a statistic, I didn't have it down here, but I think it's about 65% of workers are, considering places that companies that that show that they value their mental health, that are implementing different practices or activities to really show that they value their mental health. So they will literally leap to another company that's going to address this. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Sarah, thank you so much for being here. In honor of you speaking today, we will be making a donation to the Bread of the Mighty Food Bank in your name.
Thank you.
Okay, I was not expecting the Paul Harris Fellow presentation, so I realized I didn't get to say some of the things that I had on my list. I did want to let you know, again, as a follow-up to Ryan, we are moving forward with the endeavor to educate and inform our members about the Paul Harris Fellow giving. If you have any questions about the letter, there is an email address on there, but you're also welcome to grab me or Ryan. If any of you get the Minutarian from our district governor, it was actually in the Minutarian this last week that if every member of Rotary gave $100 a year, they could double what they're currently giving out in grants. On an annual basis. So, we just want to make sure that we're doing our part to support those endeavors. With that, I'm going to go on to the quote of the day. What mental health needs is more sunlight, more candor, more unashamed conversation. And that was Glenn Close. And our Rotary Reading Safari drawing number is 074. 074. And with that, our meeting is adjourned.
That is Wes. It beeps every time I download the membership launch paid thing. It's usually not that loud. I know. Like, okay.